Come on. Kia ora whānau, ko Waiau, ko Taupiri te Maunga, ko Waikato te Awa, ko Tainui te Waka, ko Ngāti Tipa me Ngāti Tiata te Hapu, ko Ngātai Erua me Tauranga Nui te Marae, ko Tammy Potini ahau. Kia ora to everyone, and yeah, lovely being here. I'm like absolutely excited, just like Phil was saying, and just also want to acknowledge our mana whenua to this land. Just really appreciate you guys giving us this opportunity to actually weave some of our Māori. Our Māori is like life, and just our experience and like how we do things back home in Aotearoa. So that's a little bit of my introduction, and I'll hand over to my brother over here.
Kia ora. It's an honour to be here on Ngāpuhi and Ngunnawal lands. Ko Hamish toku ingoa, taku tupuna no Linden Valley ahau. My ancestors come from the Linden Valley in Staffordshire in England. I live in a little place called Beach Haven, which is also known as Opaketai, which was a seasonal fishing spot. So Māori would move through there when the season was right, catch some fish, and move on when it was time. And then it became a village, and then it got subsumed by suburbs, but it doesn't really agree with that, so it's still a village, really, like it believes it's a village. My partner is Lily. She's a Japanese lady. We have a 9-year-old son called Josh who does breakdancing and basketball and football, and I'm like, pick a lane, but nah, he picks every lane. He picks every lane. So that's just a little bit about me. You know, in New Zealand we do whakawhanaungatanga, which is about finding, you know, what's my mountain, what's your mountain, what's my uncle, what's your uncle. So that's just a little bit about me, so you can start thinking about where you can hook onto. Yeah.
Cool, and then just one thing I just wanted to add, especially around like here we are to cast this beautiful net, and then back home is called he kupunga, so it's a beautiful net that we cast out whatever the treasures that we get from this beautiful wānanga, this hui, it's for everyone. So I love that, you know, we're here to cast. Thank you to the whānau that are here in practical sense, because you know, some of us are a bit of a tutu, so tutu is me, hence the reason why I got the you know, the netting in my hand. So tutu is like someone that likes to play with things, you know, so these different ways of learning, and that's just us as people. Hence the reason why I really enjoyed us having the 3 different ways of close your eyes, listen, and then actually look and observe. So I just want to mihi to each and every one of you that are here, and a big shout out to also Victoria, Vicky, Wendy, Kath, Debbie, gee, lucky I know their names, eh? And John. So I just met them just in a short time, but I think that's what whanaungatanga is all about. How do you really get to know these people in just a short amount of time that we've been here? And how can you thread this beautiful taonga that we've got and actually start to make some connections throughout this wānanga? So wānanga is a big wānanga that we're having. As you can see ourselves, we're like, I'm feeling comfortable because this is not in front of me, to be honest. I want to be like around here. I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to be someone that's...
We might just start like walking around randomly, like just because we can, because we have mobile
microphones.
So, like, you know, and I can be closer to this guy or this lady, you know, instead of like way over there. Like, yeah.
We're from virtual world to real world, like, you know, how we were on yesterday. So it's cool to come into this space.
We can hook up with our electricians and all sorts of people. Yeah.
Ka pai, so that's us, and yeah, the kupunga is absolutely beautiful, and yeah, shout out to us all and everyone that's in this room.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so there we go.
So that was us. So just like what's like our mahi, our work context. We come from a department called Connected Communities, which was created a couple of years ago, and it brought together everything in a big shebang: libraries, community centres, community development, community arts, anything community facing that creates some value for and with community. They stuck it all together to make a more connected up way of working, which is a work in progress, as you can imagine. And yeah, so do you want to talk about like where you're from?
Yeah. So before I do, yeah. So just thought I'd do a shout out to this guy on here, Mike, because I realize I'm on virtual world too. Mike, because I think this is the other thing. We also don't just come for ourselves. I come from a community, and I brought my community, my family, my hapu, my everyone here, as I stand here today on this whenua. And what's cool about this kid, he has a disability, but there was no disadvantage for him. He just saw life and he just went for it. His name is Mike, and he's got a slogan that says, "The most inspiring kid ever." And I thought, bro, I'm gonna wear your shirt when I come to Australia. And he was like, hey, and I said, yeah, because I think that's what we've got to remember. Our rangatahi are the future of this space. And just, could you just imagine them sitting in here, in this room with us, who actually hold many of the legacies from our tupuna, from their grandparents, and from everyone else. So having Whaia Matilda come in today and just acknowledging her, like, I think her niece, and just those taonga are like real special. So yeah, I'm with Auckland Council, the Māori Outcomes team, and part of our mahi is how do we get more whānau Māori into our spaces? Because a lot of those spaces, like for libraries, for instance, can be a little bit, oh, it's got to be a university student, got to be someone with like all these flash clothes. But it's so foreign to them to see themselves in these spaces. So how do we actually really bring them in so they can find their own identity in the space? And when they can understand that it's safe, it's a place that, man, you can just be yourself. Just look at the whare that we're sitting in, like currently now, not this whare, but just look at the whare at your own home. A library is exactly like that. But we don't know because our experience is totally different to what we experience in school. We hear the shh, be quiet. You're like, hey, I just want to run around and just connect up with my friends. So for the mahi that I'm doing is, yeah, connecting more of our whānau Māori into these spaces, and now like creating some mines, kaupapa to allow them to move forward. Because we can do the do's, we can say the says, but man, they want to see the do's. So we're all about the do's back home. So yeah, kia ora.
So we'll talk about a couple of pieces of work, a couple of journeys. One is a piece of work in Onehunga Oranga Community Hub, a pilot that I was doing with a year with them. And then another one is Waters of Te Mahia, which Tammy and I did together. And then we'll just have a little bit of open discussion time. So how did I come to this? So I've got a background in libraries as well. Came in, was a library assistant, created a makerspace, did makerspacey stuff, kind of got into co-design, and so got into capability building of co-design, training loads of librarians about that. And that was cool. So we were going out, we were interviewing people, finding out about their needs, creating insights, cool, analyzing that, doing brainstorms with community come in, see these insights, they can share their ideas and, you know, jam with us, and that was cool. But at the end of the day, we hung on to the delivery of that. So then every time you co-design a new thingy, then you've got to keep delivering the thingy, and you get a little bit more time poor, you know, some more time sinks into that. And I was a bit frustrated with that, and a bunch of people were like, because, you know, we talk about prioritizing community needs, but which ones are more important than which ones? You know, you can say this and that, this is more important than that, but it just didn't feel commensurate, like with the scale of what was out there. You know, oh, we decided to do these 6 really important things, and there are like 40 million more things that needed doing. And then I was spending too much time on Twitter, and the first report came out about participatory city. And I suppose I was also sort of thinking about these brainstorms, you know, people coming to these brainstorms and what would happen if you kept doing that and kept doing that over and over again? And people started going, oh, my ideas, I can just stick my ideas in here, can I? Cool, like what would do, like if you followed that through? And meanwhile, these guys over in Barking and Dagenham they were thinking about participation culture, which is people starting to get together in neighborhoods and cook together more. Just do stuff that you might do in your own house by yourself, but do it together with a bunch of other people. Cook together, repair together, just share stuff together. All these real basic, everyday kind of experiential sensory things. Which is cool, but then they were like, those things, they're very little, but how do we sort of help them be themselves and not need to turn into a trust or a community organization or a business or something else? How do we just let them stay little and have many of them? And so they created this idea of a support platform, which involves, you know, people who are trained and they're in spaces talking to all these people about what are your ideas, what are your ideas? Oh, cool, that's an interesting idea. Bob has that idea too, Tom had that idea too, Mary had that idea too. Let's get them all together and create all of these different projects with people. And like spaces too, with you know, you need spaces to, we talk about inclusive spaces. What do we mean by that? They thought that meant like kitchens with loads of hobs so that you can get 30 people in there and they can all cook together. Or like a whole bunch of tools so we can make stuff together. Like we can do stuff, not just sort of sit down and go, who am I? Who are you? You know, like that can be awkward. When you get to do stuff with your hands, it can relax people. And I guess they were looking at social cohesion as like a really upstream thing. So, and they pulled this research synthesis together. So it's got, you know, those health and well-being outcomes that you'd be really interested in. But it's also got climate change action outcomes. And it's got lowering crime rates and reducing heart disease and kind of everything that you'd want in a community potentially, just from connecting people together more. So this platform approach I wanted to see, because it's tested in Barking and Dagenham, but I wanted to see does it actually work in an Aotearoa context. So I created a EOI and basically said, does anyone want to try this with me for a year? And Onehunga Oranga Community Hub put their hands up. So that's a library, which is the space on the left, and then there's a community centre. You go in the door and you turn right, and there's also Oranga Community Centre, which is down the road a bit. Very diverse community, kind of like if you've got Auckland in this like the north side, and then there's the south side. It's kind of right on the edge. You know, when you get those edge communities, and it's all just mixed up. A lot of disparity about like socioeconomic privilege. So you get some really I'm doing fine people, and some people that are having a harder time. And so this team that I was working with is quite a big team, and we basically, community engagement's really important to this approach. So we were trying all sorts of ways of doing that. So having stuff up in the foyer, examples of little projects that you could try, just to like give some people of what does this look like and what are some examples. You don't have to do that, but you know, just something to riff off of. going out to different spaces in the community and just talking to all sorts of people out there, not just staying in the hub. Inclusive communication, so once you start getting some projects going, communicating those out to lots and lots of people, and also communicating the invitation to, join in those projects or start, tell us ideas for whole new ones. And so kind of out of that engagement, we started having morning teas just for people to come along and warm them up. But there was an old Māori guy called Malcolm who turned it into a Grandmaster chess competition. He decided that's what it should be. This isn't a morning tea anymore. And like every time I come in the building, he'd be like, "Oh, Hamish, chess time." Oh shit! Like so, he's sort of like running to hide because he's a really good chess player. And out of that, there was another guy who had an injury, and he was like, so he couldn't work, but he is like, what I'd really like to do is I'd like to make some kites, manu ote, which is Māori kites. So he wanted to teach people about that. Or we had Youth Week, so we had a whole bunch of butcher's paper up on the walls, like, what are your ideas? And of course, the youth didn't come, the kids came. Nothing ever goes according to plan. But the kids were like, we want a garden. Okay. So we got some paper there and drew some pictures of the garden. Like there's soil around there. Pulled out all the old plants that weren't doing much and composted them, and then had the space there. Had all the veggies that are in season on a piece of paper. Circle the ones that you want to grow and cross out the ones that, like, these kids would. They're just the after-school goofy kids, but because we provide just this little bit of scaffold, suddenly they're planting a garden together. We went and got the veggies from Waimahia down the road, which had also started a marakai, a veggie garden, but had loads of leftovers. So their leftovers, their surplus, turned into our garden. Other things like a whole bunch of cooking sessions. A different person shares a recipe every time, and it gets a different flavor. So a Samoan lady's sharing chop suey noodles, and Māori guys doing fried bread, and 10-year-olds doing chocolate chip cookies. And there were adults and kids there, so we sort of ended up like in a bake-off. But like I interfered with the recipe too much and kind of fucked the adults ones up, and then the kids won. Māori as early adopters. So I'll be honest, we didn't really do an intentional engaging Māori more in this. But what was interesting was they were actually the ones that saw the value in this approach and were often the ones that engaged. So this is the guy that was down the road from Oranga Community Centre and did this fried bread session. And he just kind of naturally designed it in a way. So he had like his phrases up there that if you wanted to be past anything, you needed to use the phrase. And everyone was lined up. They'd made their little bit of bread, and then they were sticking it in the oil. So it was all just like, it just run like clockwork. And everyone, everyone's involved. Everyone's got skin in the game. They've got their bread. No one's the audience or anything like that. And because these activities are these, put your hand up if you've ever cooked before. Put your hand up if you've ever eaten before. So because they're cross-cutting, they're not special interest, they're not niche, you get these. So in this picture, there's this Japanese lady who was from way in Newmarket, which is quite far from Onehunga, and she lives by herself. She's an old Japanese lady lives by herself, but she just wanted to learn some basic recipes. She only came one time, and then she was like looking at these Filipino and Pacifica kids and just smiling like, she'd never have that interaction before or again, you know, and that's the interesting thing when you have these common denominator activities which are cross-cutting. Ooh, that's done something interesting. It said something about challenges to the existing system. So we were doing this with librarians who are used to delivering services. So when you suddenly say, actually what we're going to do instead of delivering services is we're going to ask everyone what their ideas are and go out into spaces and do that. And then everyone's got all these different ideas, and but the guy that had the idea last week didn't show up this week, so it's changed. It's quite a lot of adaptability, quite a lot of flexibility, working really fast with a lot of uncertainty. That was super challenging for staff. Also, like, it was after this second lockdown that we'd had, so people in the community actually just they were quite slow to warm up, and I think staff expected this silver bullet to be like, oh, we're gonna throw open the doors and everyone's gonna just rush us, and it was a bit slower than that. Yeah. But as a holistic system for well-being, a holistic formation for well-being, I would say a holistic formation for well-being and everything else, like those, you know, so we saw, you know, increased kind of social cohesion and co-production capacity. We just mean people feeling confident to share ideas and, you know, do stuff together, do more stuff together than apart, is what we mean by that. Those are kind of the two engines of this approach, and then all these other outcomes start to come out. So shared learning, well-being, we started to see Māori outcomes, environmental sustainability. Yeah, that's kind of the engine of how it works as a holistic formation. So now I'm going to pass it over to Tammy, the Tamster, and yeah.
Awesome. But before I do, Mina's picture, eh? And this is all our whānau. So kia ora meaning hello, whānau meaning everyone, so each and every person that's in this space. But before I get into that, mahi, I'm really keen to like just have a little tutu with you fellas, just so you can actually go through this co-creation and this co-design with me. As you can see, you've got your piece of wool just in front of your tepu, which is, yeah. So if you can just all take a, like, just pull it out, take a cut wherever you want in this session. I just thought, because I'm mindful, like I can feel the energy, and I'm like, okay, how do I do a little icebreaker while I jam into my next one? So yeah, cut it as long as you want, as small as you want. That's all I'm giving you for now. Because this next piece, mahi, is around co-designing, co-designing this beautiful whare, and it's also around co-creation. So I thought if I get you into it, then you'll get a feel of it, and then you'll be like, yeah, now I know what you've been doing, which is choice. Cool, so as everyone cut their piece of string, ka pai. And just to the whānau that are on the, where's that video? On the video, yeah, find anything. Just trying to make sure everyone's engaged in this next piece, but just want to give a shout out to Hamish. I think the other cool thing with his mahi as well is the innovation capability coach. So he's been able to support me in this mahi, and that's like me, and like that's genuine. And to have myself now standing in this space, slowly sort of kind of teaching you, but yeah, you guys just do it in your own flash as way. So choice, I'm not going to get into that just yet. He's like, but admire this beautiful photo at the back. This is everyone that's sort of that's been involved into this next step, because I'm sure you're going, okay, so from all of that, how did you really do this stuff? So I'm going to show you how we did this stuff.
Hey, before that, let's all get up and move to a different table. Go!
It's like, hey. With your string, take your
Yeah,
string.
yeah, with your
Take
string.
your string.
Just to change it up.
Yeah. Oh, yours a reeler? Cool, yeah. Take your string, ka pai. You've got about 10 seconds, counting down.
See if there's any
Right, Doug.
chickens.
10. Beautiful. Ka pai. Okay, now say hello, kia ora meaning hello. So say hello to the, the whānau beside you. And then like introduce yourself, bit of whanaungatanga, introduce who you are, what you do.
Yeah.
Cool. Everyone's like, what are we doing with this string? I'll tell you.
I don't know. I don't know the plan.
I got 1 more minute, 1 more minute. 1 more minute to win it. Have you watched that? A minute to win it. And then tie it. Choice, got 5 seconds, counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, love it. Okay, now with your piece of string, you're going to tie the ends together. Some just went like radical, but oh well, you got to tie it together. Yeah, I saw Vicky's string, they're like, oh. Okay, let's tie them together. Choice, and what you've just experienced there, whānau, is whanaungatanga. You got to meet someone else, sort of had to like move into an awkward place, not too sure where you're going, like, okay, I'll just sit here. So you sort of just went through experience of our own whānau that we're trying to work with, and we're trying to get to go into these spaces and these places, and they're like, oh man, I don't even know these guys, but I've got to sit here. So that experience that you just had was whanaungatanga, and just sometimes what's challenging for us was sort of giving you that experience because you didn't know anyone. Well, I think you didn't, I just assumed. And now you've got your piece of string. Okay, I don't know if you know, yeah. I can already see some already doing like the hand string, yeah. Ka pai, but now you're going to make a piece, anything you want. So I'll give you about like 2 minutes. You can create anything that represents you with your piece of string now tied together. Why I got used to tie it together? Because this is called tahitanga. We're all in this together. So now you've like, oh, you guys just signed the contract, we're now in. So like now you've like signed yourself, me and Ez, and now you're going to find, okay, with this piece of string, like, you can create whatever you want, and then you're going to like share it in like amongst your own table, like what you created, what it means, and you're like, man, but it's just a string. You think it's a string, and then watch this, you'll ravel on a mean-ass story. So you got about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. We'll go with the 1 minute to win it, if you know what that is. So you got 1 minute to win it. Create your own little narrative with your beautiful string, because then that's us already weaving ourselves into this mahi. Oh, everyone's concentrating, like, oh, man. Then I know, yeah, I got yous on my prezzo.
Anyone online who couldn't get a string, I always go to the crowdsourcing space.
Yes. This is, yeah. Okay, just as you're doing that, yeah, and then I can like weave this mahi in as to what we've done. Cool, so you go like 30 seconds, you can see everyone's like, and then after the 30 seconds are done, share that with the person next to you about what you created. Ka pai? All good? Okay. I'm thinking, oh, how long have I got? Oh, there. Choice, 36. Cool, 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yep, that's us. Nice, cool. And I think that's what this whole wānanga, this whole conference is about, connecting, telling our stories through just, look, this random as string, but just the amount of conversation that came out of that within like a minute was choice as, but no one's won the prize. There's no prizes, whānau. Okay, so we will get into this mahi. So kia te whānau, as you all know, means hello, us all as a collective, as a whānau. This was co-designed through what the Kia te Whānau Hub was, why we created this space was, what are our whānau aspirations? And how do we create a space that creates well-being? And the cool thing that really helped us was we were able to co-design this beautiful hub, or this whare, with Te Waka Kirawai, which is the Māori Outcomes team, the Southern Initiative, and then also we had Healthy Families. So there were like 4 different organisations a part of this kaupapa, and I think that's really important. But we all went through a co-design process with these organisations to actually understand what is the whānau's aspirations, what are their well-beings, and how can we really support them through creating this house. So if you just imagine you're sitting in your own house, and for many of them we interviewed over roughly maybe about 40 different whānau within Waimahia. Waimahia is just a little suburb in Manurewa in the south of the south. And then, yeah, what was cool though, from all of this, there were cool things, and they were like, well, why did you even go down that space? So there were challenging things. Many of our current systems were designed different for us. You know, some things were like, they contributed to many challenges such as inequality, poor health, and everything else that brings stigma to us as Indigenous. We needed to work to create a positive culture, change where the health and well-being is, and how do you just create a house so you can just be yourself and just walk in, and I'm like, man, kia ora, I'm Tammy. But some houses don't feel like that. And I sort of felt that when I walked into this house, but it's all good. Hence the reason why I wanted to bring my own mātauranga, which is knowledge. How do I create this space so that I can feel comfortable? And I think that's what well-being and creating these hubs are all about. Choice. And the other main thing that we've done is we co-designed down to 3 beautiful values. So we had a working team, we had a community team, we had kaimahi, like staff, and then all of the information that we gathered, synthesized, all of that jazzy thing, came down to 3 beautiful posts. And those like if you think about a po is like your backbone. You know, they give you values, they give you a standing ground, which is why I'm in my feet. So po hauora, po mātauranga, and po oritetanga. And a lot of this all came out of the information that we gathered from all our whānau. So now our whare has values. So the values that we created for kia te whānau now hold these beautiful po in terms of what are we going to do in order to improve. What is it that's going to actually hold us and guide us? And everyone has a value. People have value. Everybody has values. But what it really helped us was to really navigate and really understand that there were 3 things around accessibility, around the knowledge, and just around being themselves. So our cool whare has now got 3 pos that were co-designed with everyone, organisations, to community, to like the staff that are in this space. Like, I just reckon that's like next level in my own eyes. So these po then guided us to, okay, what are we going to actually implement and what are we going to take forward? If we now have these 3 pos, what is that? And these 2 beautiful atahua women, these lovely wahine, so what we got was, okay, we're going to hone in onto mātauranga, which is knowledge. And one of the insights around that was, man, I don't know my identity. I don't know my place in this community. So how do I How do I connect and how do I relate? So we have, what we've done also was then we co-designed and co-created with mana whenua, which is our Indigenous people of the land, with our Auckland councillors, with our community, with our people, and there was like I think there was five different dimensions happening. And that's like a holistic way of trying to, how do we implement something, but everyone's got to have something to contribute to what we're trying to build. So this beautiful, and our local artist, this is lovely Paula Green, she's amazing, and our beautiful mana whenua, Kathleen Wilson. So I just want to acknowledge these two. And the beautiful piece you see behind is from the co-creation that we built, but I'm going to tell you how we got there. So the narrative was shared around Rere Moana. So if you, in Waimahia, there's a beautiful beach down the road. And then people just wanted to find their own identity. So what is that beautiful moana that's just down the road? How do we bring that story into our space and to our place so we can actually start to resonate with what's happening? So having everyone in this space with us and getting the permission from our mana whenua to say, here's this pūrākau, here's the story that you guys can use into your whare. And that was beautiful. And that was just only the start of this.
Can you just pause for a second? I just want to do an experiment, okay, in co-creation right now, so that this isn't just us talking to you.
Yeah.
So I want to create a new permission in the room, a new norm. The new norm goes like this. When Tammy talks about something, you can say sitting still and just think about it in your head if you want, but you can also stand up, move around if you're like, ooh, this is like a arm wavy type of, it's like an interpretive dance kind of vibe. So like, yeah, you can now do whatever you want, and I encourage you to do whatever you want to co-create a response to all the cool things that she's saying.
Cool. Hang on, I've got to go back now. Oh, nice. Someone's moving, love it. Just going to move back. And three key thing that Whaia Kath shared with us was around taiao. Taiao meaning the environment. So this is me talking about the narrative. Like how do we get our whānau in? So, and then the other one was around tākaro, which is play. So then you can sort of like, what is play for tākaro? Like, look at my bro over here. He's loving it. So we had, and then there's ako. So there were three things from the narrative and from this story that was shared. And those things, ako, so everyone say ako. Ka pai, that's learn. So what we're doing now, we're learning about what we've done in Aotearoa. And then tākaro, everyone say tākaro. Awesome, that's play. So you guys were playing with the string. And the last one is, wait a minute now. Taiao. Everyone say taiao. Cool, and that's the environment that we all live in. Man, we are not bound by like houses and everything else. We all got to walk outside. So taiao. So those three kupu came from our Whaia Kath, and that's what created our activations. Means so in that activation we had tākaro, which is play, taiao, the environment, and ako, which is learn. And that's how we were able to share the story with our whānau, our people, our young ones, and the activation was incredible. So we had some kids going, so we had sand. I even went down to the beach to where it is, so they could actually feel the sand. I even got driftwood, but these kids could actually feel what it is, because some kids can't actually go to the beach. And then we had a space of being creative, making like fishing, all sorts. But that story linked back to the narrative that was shared by mana whenua. So then they all walked away, honestly, with a string exactly like this. So they came to taiao, and they made a beautiful pounamu. A pounamu is a treasure, made it out of shells. And what was real buzzy, because you don't know what's going to happen with their creative minds. So they made this beautiful tongue, and they passed it on to their like parents. And they're like, what's this? I just learned this in taiao. Hey, and now it's a pounamu. So what we take for granted, man, our kids are the most imaginative people ever. So those three activations help our rangatahi to understand the story of Rere Moana. So yeah, that was choice. We were right up our element in that one. And these were the outcomes. So I'm sure you guys, like, okay, from all of this, what are some of the outcomes that you guys got? So how, yeah, you did all this joy stuff and made all this flash things. What actually come out of it? And just for hauora, making taonga, like I was saying, holding it and kids affirming, look, this is what I've done, giving them agency to say, I made this, but I made it for you, which is cool. And then mātauranga, like sharing their own knowledge around, hey, this is what I done at the beach. What did you guys get up to? And one of the kids like, I just went fishing, so I've made a hook. So everyone's experience is so different, but I just loved how we were able to like really capsulate our young ones, our families, and also our community. And then we had oritetanga, and that was just empowering them to, you know, have that agency, to feel confident, to know, man, you know what the out of it thing was? You know, for youth, they're like, oh man, we could draw on these windows. There were these clear windows, and they were going, are we allowed to draw on these? Like, really? Because in South Auckland, it's known for tagging and everything else. So they got their pens and they were like, they weren't tagging because we assumed this is what they're going to do. They're just going to scribble all over the walls and do their little tag name like Tamstar, Tammy.
But it wasn't one time, it was 3 times. It was like, so we can draw on the windows. Yeah. So we can draw on the windows though. Yeah. Like 3 times before they believed it.
So just those things. And what was neat, because we knew where this mural piece was going to land, it was actually going to land on the windows. So just for them to take that pen and just draw, and they could see themselves on the other side, that was like real cool. That, bro, what are you drawing? Like, you know, facing each other, like mimicking and mirroring each other. So yeah, the outcomes we don't see, but I'm only sharing, we don't see, we just see what's written. But honestly, the best outcomes are the experience that people have, because they will remember this forever in their lives. Because I know I've got 3 handsome boys that I forgot to tell you about. And they drive me, yeah. And then from our artist, Paula, these were these were some of the images that were created on the windows. Some were on the ground with the chalk art. And they were like drawing their maunga. They're like, wow, this is my maunga hikirangi. They're like, yeah. And as you can see, she took those images and actually placed them in the mural. So she actually listened, she heard, and then it's like, how do we actually contribute their taonga, their piece, into this beautiful artwork that we have of Rere Moana. So it was an activation to also, for the artist, to then put her input and her design to actually give thanks to that space. Because I'm mindful, we do all these activations, we do all these things, we're like, oh, now what are they going to do with it? But man, they did something with it, and it was so magical just to see how she incorporated everything. But the other thing, it could have gone the other way. You know, Auckland Council could have just said, here, Paula, here's a piece, here's a window. Do what you like with Rere Moana, because that's usually the way. You don't go and have consultation or activations with whānau or community or people from that place. And you don't go find a local artist to come and do this piece, because, yeah, we just always seem to go for one thing. Yeah, okay, go over there. All right, what about the people? What about the people of this space? Because then they'll find their own identity, because then they can go, wow, I played a part in this. So I think that's so powerful in terms of the mural and the story and the whole 5, like holistic five organizations, people, all the different agencies that sat to make this piece happen. And this, what is it? Oh, cool, and then we had the celebration. Oh, the celebration was mean. We had mean as kai, like we had like muscles and everything. But what was interesting though, because the interesting thing is actually the community wasn't actually there. So we learned that, hey, we were the community. So everything, all the agencies, everybody else was there, but actually community couldn't be there because it was held at 10:30 when the tamariki are either in school, parents are doing their own thing, and actually we missed the mark around getting the real people to actually celebrate with us. Yet everyone else loved it. They loved the contribution that it gave, but one of our learnings was, damn, we actually forgot we forgot our own people to come into this space. But I think you've got to be reminded of that, because when we look at things that we do an opening, the opening is just for all the people of the organizations. Like, where's the people? And I think I just wanted to share that, because we always forget the people. We go as our own hats, wearing our own organization, because we're there to collab and everything else. But the real guys and the real people are the ones that miss out because they're not a part of the celebration. And then the last piece, so like, this was another beautiful piece, which is like arapotama. So arapotama is a beautiful stairway, success to achievement. And so we created all these, so there were stairs, and we're like, man, how can we really get input from the community? And they gave us kupu, like words that actually represent them, their family, and now there's a stairway of all their voices, everything they told us around safety, around kainga, meaning home, around respect, around well-being, and all of this came from the whole community. And how we did that was just people posting, people drawing on the walls, and doing things that we don't usually take to be creative. So co-creation comes in its creative form. You just got to allow it to happen and trust it. I think for many that I see, we don't trust it because we don't see the plan. We want to see the plan from A to B, and you're like, let it be. Let it go to C, to let them be courageous and be creative. But all we know is A, B, and we forget about C. And C is the most creative space that we've got to be. So just wanted to drop that mic with my shirt mic. And then, yeah.
Have we got a picture of the actual
mural? No, that's why I was just trying to look. No, there. So this is the actual mural that's now massive. It's about 2 window size. And it's in the entrance as you walk into the library centre, and it's there. Sorry, one thing I forgot to touch on. So we've done this, the mural's been up, that went up last year. And now we said, okay, how do we take the co-creation further? So now they do orientations on the mural. So for many of us, we see that as like tapu, you shouldn't touch it. But we created this mural piece so that it can continue being creative, to continue to share the narrative from a rangatahi, or from a youth, from a baby to an adult, to a continuous. So now this piece is evolving and everyone can share their stories. So yeah, so people are putting in boats, all sorts.
And the artist took on board this idea of co-creation. So what she did was she made it really spacious. So you can see like there's really minimal lines through there. That means that if I've got a window marker, there's heaps of space for me to draw stuff into it. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a live, what's cool about it, it's a live mural. It's not just stagnant, you just look at it. So I don't think there's anything like this, say, I'm just making it up. But yeah, I don't think there's anything like this, honestly, in Auckland Council, that this now mural is a continued co-creation space to have orientation around Arere Moana. So yeah, so that ends me.